Oh, that's
Stream
it.
is live.
Yes, we are. All three of us. Look at this.
No, this is fun. Let's see.
I'm
I
in
feel
the,
like
I'm in the woman sandwich here.
Well, I feel I should be there as the only Brit. I'd be more comfortable, like a Brit, American. I don't know what we call that.
It's hooking up to my Facebook because you can see it 'cause it did my automatic responder. So it must be doing it right now.
Somebody's saying hello from Scotland.
Oh, hello.
Ha for a set is saying hi from Scotland.
Hello.
Hi.
Ooh, let's see if it's doing it on my page.
I imagine, given the weather in England today is grim. So I imagine in Scotland you can barely see a foot in front of you.
All right, guys. So let's those are more autoresponders. It's funny to see how it comes up. All right, so I guess we should talk until we get comments.
We should. So Ralph and I have just been catching up a bit. Samantha, are you beyond busy? You look so well for such a busy lady.
I'm so busy. I'm doing my daughter's sweet 16 soon.
Oh.
So I'm planning all of that, and that's tough to do. It's one of these American monstrosity affairs, Laura, that is just really designed. There's no life cycle event. It's just money, man. It's just expensive money.
You guys go mad.
Blast. Yeah, it's just,
At what age do they do the bat mitzvah?
Well, that's for younger, like 12 and 13.
Was it that? Okay. I thought it was like 15 for some reason. Is that like a big event too?
A quince is in Latino culture. It's 15.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, you know that.
And the Mexicans,
right. So and this one is a sweet 16. So yeah. So it is what it is. Yes, I'm very busy. I have still my own clients, but mostly at my practice. I'm trying to, I have lots of therapists and coaches at Best Life. So that's pretty cool.
You do.
And this is also streaming, I think, on my YouTube, which is like a very low audience at my YouTube, but let me make sure.
For now, Samantha, I'm sure you'll get there with that. I'm sure.
Yeah, who knows?
It's slow at the beginning. Did you find that, Ralph? Because you're over 100,000 subscribers now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but at the beginning, I hit a peak there for a bit, which is responsible for like the bulk of my subscribers, and then it slowly petered down. Now it's slowly going back up again a little bit. I'd like to say it was like that. Yeah, it took a while to get there.
It's super just random. It's like one thing goes viral.
I'm sure there's science behind it. People say they figured it out, but
they're lying.
Something I put up, and I'm like, this will be a nothing, and it blows up for no reason. And then stuff that I put a lot of work into gets like nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the real way to get people not to watch your stuff is to put a lot of work into it. I have really tried and tested that. Yeah, anything. So I do nothing anymore that takes any effort because it's just a bad ROI. So I just say whatever the hell I want, and some of it randomly hits and some of it doesn't.
It's a good approach. I like that. Yeah. Just spraying the internet with your honesty.
Yeah. Something or other. So how long have you been married now, Ralph?
Why you gotta put me on the spot like this now? So how long has it been?
Oh my God. I didn't understand.
7 years now? 7 years? 7 years.
7 years. Oh, which year? So you got married in 2018? No, 2019?
2019. Yeah.
I got married 2020. And this one here got married, in the 80s? When did you get married? No, I'm kidding.
I was not in the 80s. We got married in 2012, but we have been together since 2004.
Oh, yeah. So that's a long time.
Yeah. We're getting on now. It's really cool.
Hey, there's Ninja Spam in the comments. He's a regular on my
Howdy, ladies and gents. Ladies and gents.
That's me.
Yes.
That is you.
Oh, here's somebody. What do you three see, generally speaking? 1, men need to work on. 2, women need to work on to improve relationships and marriages.
That's a big question. Who goes first?
You go, Ralph.
Oh, well.
Men first.
So, as I often say, I attract a certain type of dude to my material, and that tends to be a very anxious guy. Anxious in his temperament as well as his attachment. So what I see for all those guys is a sense of self-worth need to stop being so codependent and so hung up on the feelings of their partner and just constantly trying to fix her issues and fix her problem, make her happy. And he just completely loses his sense of identity. And then when divorce happens, those guys go, I don't know who I am or what I stand for. I was husband. Now I'm no longer husband. And now I'm part-time dad. And I don't know what I am. So that's what those guys need to cultivate, is more sense of self, sense of self-worth.
Yes. What about women?
They're perfect, Samantha. Yeah. Everybody knows that. Gosh.
You're perfect. But what do you think, Ralph? But Ralph, it's so funny because I just asked how long you're married for, and it's funny because I noticed you starting to do some more like really like balanced post-honeymoon stage stuff, and it's like because we're on the same marital trajectory, obviously. So I was like, oh, as I'm saying more about post-honeymoon, you're saying more. I was married 2020, you're married 2019. So it's like the same kind of.
And, you know, post-kid, got a 4-year-old kid. And also my age, I'm sure, factors into that. I just turned 50. So people in my world are now talking about menopause, and they're not talking about all that stuff. So that influences. So what do I think women need to work on to improve relationships? Well, I mean, you're asking the wrong gal here, fella. I mean, it's in my world, it's women needing to open up more, as weird as that may sound to a lot of women watching this, because a lot of women are very anxious and like, my man's just this stone wall that's just like, if we're not screwing and if I'm not going to work, just leave me alone. And that's not my world at all. So I have a lot of men that are like, woman, will you open up to me? Can we talk, for God's sakes? It's not that hard. All these other women are talking. You don't want to hold hands. What woman doesn't want to hold hands? What woman doesn't want to snuggle, for God's sakes? So that's what I see in my world. So we have a lot of very type A, rigid, almost kind of masculine in their demeanor women who need to soften up a bit. That's what I see in my world.
And you, Laura? I'm just going to be like a couples counseling session. When I do couples, they're like in different things, and it's the three of us. So I'm like automatically going into the mode of like moderating between this couple.
Ralph and I aren't going to fall out on this, though, I don't think. I mean, I'd say that there is a sort of similar thing for both people. I mean, broadly speaking, relationships do better if both people work on themselves continuously over the eras of their lives. I think we're writing something at the moment for Monday's video about an enthusiastic yes. Whatever is being asked for, whether it's more conversation or more sex, the ideal response, more often than not, what you're hoping for is an enthusiastic yes. So we've been thinking about where that enthusiastic yes might be born. And I think it's in general well-being. I think a person who is really looking after themselves, dealing with all of their issues, whether it's childhood issues, health issues, if you're generally speaking really well, you're going to be much more available, much more fun to be around, and much more enthusiastic. So I think that works for both sexes. I know I'm generalizing, but that's my answer.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right, Laura. It's like a both people kind of thing, I mean, if people are more curious about their partner, generous, if people are not as defensive, then of course, I'd say defensiveness is something that both men and women need to work on in different ways. Yeah. And you could see that because women say that men are defensive. They just use that word, and men say that women have no accountability. And that's what that means, is defensive. Yeah. So that's like the thing where people show up in couples counseling and they're like, basically, it's not me. Well, then it's them. That's like a good way to know it's them, is if they say it's not them, because it's the ability to see yourself and to know your strengths and weaknesses and to continue to want to be open to feedback is what I think that both genders can do. And
definitely.
Humans, and all people.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah. Yes. I think Ken has an interesting one, but that's kind of we could talk about that for hours. He's worried about his son because of what he sees in the state of men's.
Oh, Ken Rowan. Oh, Ken, you keep asking me.
I don't see that.
I told you, Ken, it's a quarter of therapists are men. And it's not like we don't try to get more male therapists. Everybody's so excited for these dudes to go to graduate school. But the reality is, let's be real, men do not want to be in a low earning profession where all you do is talk about feelings. And most therapists there's LPCs, there's LCSWs. and they don't earn a lot of money usually, and it's a lot of just sitting there and talking. That's not what a lot of men choose. The men that do go into the field, if they're interested in mental health, usually go to medical school and become a psychiatrist, or if they're a psychologist, they go into academia and they want to be teaching and writing and publishing. There's just some differences, and there are great male therapists, but it just is not a field. It's just like there's not a lot of male elementary school teachers. There's just certain things that men and women are drawn to differently, and men want to make more money. Of course, obviously you can make money, but you have to be an entrepreneur. Then you have to own the practice. I just went to a networking event. It's mostly women. It's a flexible job. It could be around your kids, like I did. I worked part-time for years. This is not anybody like saying like, men can't be therapists. Whenever there's a male therapist, the women flock. Oh my God, I need so many referrals for my male clients. But I'll tell you, because I have employed multiple male therapists over the years, and both men and women, and research bears this out, in terms of therapy, prefer to speak to a woman. And I'll say, do you want this man or do you want this woman? And it's even research bears that out, that they want a woman because they perceive women as less judgmental. They have less competition, more of a vibe of a mom. And so, but Ralph, take it away for what you do offer for male mentorship and community.
Check out helpformen.com. And we do have a private support community for men only called the Brotherhood. And you can jump right to the join page at helpformen.com/join. We talk about all this stuff man to man all day, every day, in meetings and forums and all kinds of cool stuff. In general, I think we've seen for generations now, women tend to gravitate towards professions that deal in a more, what's the term I'm looking for? Empathetic. Women tend to rank higher in empathy. So stuff that deals with humans, other human beings, and emotions, and dealing at a social level. Well, men tend to gravitate towards professions that deal with things. So you'll see men are much more visible in the world of engineering, for example, as opposed to women, and women are more in healthcare. It's just the way it's been forever and ever.
Baby boys pay more attention to mobiles, and baby girls pay more attention to faces.
That's true. Even the monkeys, apparently, they've had several monkey experiments where they put trucks and dolls into the enclosure, and the boys over and over play with the trucks, and the girls play with the babies. It's a universal thing.
My daughter turned a baseball bat into a baby, and she burped it.
I love that. Burping the bat. That's very sweet. That's very sweet. So we've got Adnor asking if we might talk about HRT and for perimenopause. Yeah, who wants to go with that one?
I talk about this in my world all the time, and this is something that is really big. There was was it the Women's Health Initiative that came out years ago, which proposed that there seems to be a direct correlation between hormonal replacement therapy and risk of certain cancers, like breast cancer. There are some estrogen-sensitive cancers some women are more susceptible to. So they said if you take like exogenous estrogen and so forth, your chances of cancer go way up. And since then, that study has not necessarily been debunked, but it's been way less in severity and commonality than what they thought. It's a relatively small portion of women. If you have a genetic marker that says you're susceptible to it, then stay away from hormonal replacement therapy. But for the rest of you, there's all these benefits, cardiovascular, all these other things, in addition to, yes, your libido will go up. And that's where all the men sit up straight and go, well, hello, maybe we should look into this. So what we see is all these guys going, honey, maybe you want to look into HRT? And she's just like, the only reason you're saying that is because you want to get in my pants. I know this. There's no benefit. Besides, I went to my doctor and he or she said, stay away from it. End of story. And we know statistically, I think it's like only 5% of menopausal women pursue HRT. 5%.
Is that right? Wow.
Yeah.
I wonder why. It must be the cancer scare, the fear mongering, right? Around death would put you off.
Also, I mean, in their defense, we got a lot of women that are saying, welcome to real life. As you get older, this is just the way it is. So what? If you don't like it, mister, that's your problem, not mine.
This is such a complex discussion because there's also, and people don't talk about this because we have a youth obsessed society, but there's a lot of positives to aging, and there's a lot of feeling like you have a monkey off your back of just the what the hormones were doing. It wasn't all positive. Nothing is all positive, right? So you get to a different state and you don't want to go back in time and you feel a lot better. You know, a lot of women's mental health issues surround the menstrual cycle and surround hormonal changes, right? And hormones in general. And people do mellow with age as their sex hormones abate and go down for both genders. And that is a real thing too. And there's psychological benefits to aging. There's changes of life. So while HRT may be something that some people want to pursue, it is not going to be something that everybody wants to pursue because people have very individual responses to these different hormones. For example, testosterone, it can increase sex drive in some. For others, there's irritability, there's bloat, there's aggression, there's breaking out in your face. There's there was a whole article in the Times about this, you know? And like you just feel like a teenage boy, and that's not always positive, you know, to be a teenage boy, not when you're a teenage boy even. So so there's like a whole discussion. It's so individual. It is not a panacea. Nothing is a panacea. And where science has advanced to now, we have no idea where science will continue to advance to. So how we think that study has been disproven, what are they going to think in 10 years? Maybe that the disproven has been disproven. So nobody really knows where it's going to end up. And it's a very individual decision for a person and for a couple.
Yeah, and I'd say do your own research, but it's a minefield. I mean, who in their middle ages has got the time to become essentially an endocrinologist? I mean, it's quite a complex system by the looks. So it's really hard to gauge what the right thing to do is. But I do appreciate why the audience is interested in that, because of the misery that they're experiencing. They're looking for answers, and I think that is held up as this shining light of hope.
Just like SSRIs used to be, just like the birth control pill was, just like cocaine was, just like everything, you know, like thalidomide. Come on, you know, we got like a lot of history that people forget, where various drugs have been heralded as the thing that's going to make everything better, and then it turns out it doesn't.
Yeah. Shall we move on? On? Because I think there's some more things here. Do either of you, are you drawn to anything else that's there?
Well, we have user-JZ and a bunch of other letters and numbers. Says, after 10 years of sexless marriage, she says it's because I tried to coerce her into sex. But all I did was beg, plead, and I guess he means do my best to keep some kind of touch alive. Sounds like a very anxious meets avoidant dynamic there. It seems pretty typical in my world.
Begging and pleading can be a huge guilt trip, and I have no idea how it actually went down. But if he himself is using the terms begging and pleading, then yeah, that would be like pretty coercive. You can't really be begging and pleading and assuming that somebody is always able to keep their wits about them and push you off. They capitulate because they don't want that endless guilt trips. It could have been constant, and yeah, that's not great. You know, those
and if you're the type of guy who experiences what a lot of men do, which is the eye roll and like, fine, let's get it over with. You got 10 minutes before the kids get home, and you're like, yay, as opposed to, that's not good. You know, time out, wife. That's not what I want. I was hoping we'd both get into this. If you're not the type to say time out, but you're the type to like, yay, I get it, that just further digs you into a hole, because she's like, look at this guy. He's just the most unempathetic. He doesn't see that I'm not into this. He doesn't see that I hate the idea of it. And he's willing to take whatever. What kind of pitiful dude is this?
Because then it's not about connection at all. If you're begging and pleading,
your rocks off.
To have like a 3-minute encounter max, you know, I mean, then of course she's going to be like, why am I even involved in this? So, you know, that's the stage where you want to get into either your own individual therapy or couples therapy and figure out. I say to guys all the time, you cannot have sex with a woman who's just lying there. You can't. You have to assume that if she's just laying there like a dead fish, she doesn't want to be doing it. She's playing dead. Like later, you know, you're not going to be on the right side of history here when she says, didn't you notice that I didn't look at you, never initiated it, was just laying there? Like, why was it keeping on happening, you know?
Yeah, not that it's careful. In my experience, this stuff is so complex. So not that you would, because you might think from that, you know, that the guy's doing something fundamentally wrong, but it might be more that she has really complex things going on. I've had a recent case where that was very much the case, and this client had never ever recognized that she could think about who she was, think about who she is, think about what she wants. She had never experienced that as a child as a result of quite an extreme relationship with parents. And that had manifested in the marriage over years. So that needed working with and treating, and the cessation of those complications for this client were a huge relief for both her and her partner. And I've no doubt that it meant that they didn't, well, I know it did, they didn't separate because we were able to work it out. But I do think that a lot of couples would so benefit from having expert guidance, and having somebody, really come into the situation and explore it with them. Because I do think once you're in the middle of it and you've been in the thick of it for decades or years, it's very difficult to see these things clearly.
Yeah, I wanted to go back to the other guy's thing, To Soul Search, who says, I have heard that most problems that are in a marriage stem from childhood. Any thoughts? And what's the best advice you could give? That is correct, To Soul Search. Our childhood experiences are integral in shaping our thoughts about relationships, our ability to trust and to be vulnerable, our attachment style, what we think about marriage, affection, so many things. If you do not go back into the origin of how you think about relationships, you're like, it's kind of like the blind leading the blind. It's very hard to have a real understanding of how you function in relationships if you don't go back to the well and say, how did my parents interact? How did they interact with me? Did I learn that relationships were safe? Did I learn that people were to be trusted? Did I learn a sense of self-worth and that people can love me and that I'm lovable? It's essential to understand yourself if you want to have kind of a mindful and intentional close relationship.
Yeah, it's so funny that men tend to be much more conspiratorial in nature when it comes to certain things and looking for underlying meanings and some kind of nefarious thing going on here. But when they turn they're resistant to turning that kind of vision inward to see, like, is there something lurky here under the surface? No, they look very superficially at surface level stuff. It's like, no, dude, the fact that your dad beat the shit out of you when you were a little kid has a lot to do with where you're at right now. Well, yeah, I put that all behind me. Me and my dad made up and said, yeah, but you're still carrying a lot of stuff here, whatever it may be. Or the fact that your mom was an alcoholic and left you when you were 12, that's going to have some impact on who you match up with later on in life. But a lot of guys are very resistant to that. They just see it as kind of, they just roll their eyes like, this is silly stuff. But no, the better you understand it, the better you can arm yourself going forward in life and understanding why you react a certain way, so you can sit with your feelings. Why am I acting this way right now about this situation? Well, because when you were 12, this happened. Has a lot to do with it.
Yeah. And so many smart guys, they'll get all this business coaching and all this stuff about the moment. And then they have this like tremendous change when they actually get into therapy and they go into the past. And then they make these realizations. And a smart person who has never thought about themselves, they make progress really quick because they're turning the beam of their intelligence in a new direction. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Right, Laura? Don't you see it in your clients?
Definitely. Yeah. People say, I wish I'd done this 10 years ago.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Mr. User Jay-Z is just leaving several comments, and you, my friend, are the prototype for the guy that I talk with at the Brotherhood. Mr. Anxious guy with avoidant woman and just trying to come to terms with it and go into therapy. And it's been 10 years of no touch, and she's not ready until she feels safe to do so. You talk about empathy and feelings quite a bit. And then the quintessential comment here, I wish my wife would watch this stuff. That's the anxious partner with the avoidant partner. I'm sure you guys have seen. Here, listen to this podcast, watch this YouTube video of mine, read this book of mine, and they're just like, oh God. Yeah. Mr. User Jay-Z, here's a phrase I find myself saying to a lot of guys who've been at this for a decade plus. That's who she is, man. You're not going to change her tomorrow. She's not going to suddenly go, whoa, suddenly I'm lustful for you and in love and let's go walk on the beach hand in hand. That's not her, dude. It's never been her. It's never going to be her.
Right. 100%. And it's the same thing for women with avoidant men. At a certain point, around 40 or so, Laura, don't you see the preoccupied attachment women? They start being like, oh, well, guess you're just going to be an avoidant and we're going to get divorced. I'm not banging my head into the wall anymore, or, people just can, at a certain point, you just got to realize that an avoidant partner is always going to be an avoidant partner because they always really were.
Yeah. And people throw themselves into other things, don't they? They start going out with their girlfriends or
throw themselves into kids or career. You could have a great life, but as long as you accept that person is never going to be a different person. People can change on the margins, and if they're motivated, they can change. But an avoidant partner who want to get into therapy and doesn't want to look in at themselves, well, they're not gonna change because they don't want to, and they don't have to, and they're not going to.
That's something I bring up often to guys is these anxious guys go to therapy and they're why is the therapist so concentrated on me? Why are they always looking at me and talking about me? It's like, because you're the only one doing any work. You're the only one putting any work, and you're the guy who leans forward and takes notes as she's talking to you, while the avoidant woman, usually it's
yawns. I like a yawner.
And like looking at their watch going, I got a meeting in like 10 minutes. Can you wrap this up? So obviously they're going to give all their attention to you and I saw a stat, Samantha, I don't know if you saw this, that the avoidant, or rather the anxious person, is twice as likely to become more secure in their attachment as opposed to the avoidant person. So
because they're working on it.
Exactly.
100%. They're interested in it and they're working on it. Somebody left a comment on my stuff like, oh, why doesn't the avoidant partner notice that the other person is unhappy? I'm like, because they're the like it was in your sentence, they're the avoidant partner. It's like saying, why is a person who doesn't like math not catch the math error in the problem? Because they're not interested in math. The avoidant person is not interested in relationship functioning. They don't like relationships. They don't think about it. They don't follow relationship creators or go to therapy. They don't do any of that because they don't want to, by definition.
Here's something Mr. User JC. See that last comment? Guys, I hear this one a lot. My wife is a therapist. Miss Avoidant, very getaway, is a therapist. She knows all the jargon. She knows all the lingo and everything else. And I've heard that more than a few times. So not surprising.
Yes, I had new clients that fit that criteria, and it's interesting, and I do, because I don't like to write people off, and I had avoidant tendencies myself. So you can change, like you said, Samantha, with motivation, but I really don't like to write people off. But I guess it gets me thinking to know what's the approach with an avoidant person. How do you work with that as a presenting,
Two points there. A, you were fearful avoidant, not dismissive avoidant. And B, your childhood was so traumatic that it forced you to look into it as a factor. The dismissive avoidant that idealizes their family as having been perfect, that is a very difficult person to work with until they're on the precipice of divorce. Then they have the motivation that they're going to lose their family, and then maybe they'll look inward. But before that, they're like, I'm cool. My family's fine. Childhood was good. Nobody had a problem with me until you're crazy. So it must be you. That's how.
So you got to increase pressure then and make the stakes higher if you're going to get their attention.
Samantha, as you told me once in a live stream that I have stolen and repeated it many times, ultimatums work. Not all the time, but that's often what gets, I always liken it to like this giant heavy boulder that just seems to be unmovable. You just can't budge it. But what tends to get the boulder moving just a little bit in the direction of let's work on us is sliding the divorce papers across the table.
Well, because it's rock bottom, the same with substance abuse.
There you go. Very similar.
Totally,
rock bottom. And it doesn't work for everybody, but it is true that when people are about to lose something, then the adrenaline goes up and kind of they can crack open in a different sort of way. It's just like a mother pushing a car off of her baby that's underneath it. She can't push a car in regular life, but she could do that if the stakes are high enough. That's just human nature. That's just biology. If you're scared, then and there's a lot of pressure, then you could do things you didn't previously think you could do and didn't previously have an interest in doing.
The analogy or the comparison to the addict is perfect, because it's this guy who's mooching off the family, he's taking money from everybody, and they're all bailing him out all the time, and he always has something to fall back on. And finally, they have the intervention and say, "We're not going to bail you out anymore. You're on your own, buddy, or go to therapy." we'll all chip in and pay money to get you to therapy, but this is it. After this, we're done.
Or he loses his job, or he loses his wife, or his kid says, I'm not going to talk to you anymore.
That's the face down in the gutter moment. That's what you need sometimes.
Mm-hmm. So I've got libido issues suddenly subside when she meets a guy whom she wants to have sex with. Usually not the father of her children, usually not her husband. David Buss wrote a whole book about it.
That
was from...
Yeah, David Buss is an evolutionary psychologist. So yes, this is all the stuff I talk about all the time with honeymoon stage. That is how we perpetuate our species, is when there's a new partner to increase genetic diversity of our species, we want to procreate when we see a new person. That is what it is. Y'all want to talk more about it?
Yeah, you can't beat new. How many times I've talked to guys who I have this avoidant, seemingly asexual wife, and then I just saw a message on her phone pop up, and I'm like, who the hell's this? And I did some digging, and she has an affair with a guy, and this guy has in his mind this thought of, he's probably some hunky Adonis who's a multimillionaire, he's got everything I don't have, and then he finds out it's the 50-pound overweight dude who's 67 years old. It's like, wait, what? This makes no sense. Like, he's new, he's her new lover. And don't worry, it will probably subside after time, just like it did with you. But you're kind of seeing how she was when you guys first met. You just forgot what that was all about. That's a huge driver of a lot of this behavior, is just, somebody new, and it stirs up so many feelings in you. It's just, we forgot about that after being with somebody for so long.
I don't know about that. I mean, I don't necessarily agree that you can't beat new. I think there's a huge amount to say about somebody that you know incredibly well. That level of understanding, that level of empathy and compassion that you build, the shared life that you have together, if you're both maturing, that is. I mean, I think that's the key component, is that you're maturing, that you're growing, that you continue to live in ways that keep you fired up generally. You've got passions going all over the place, but I don't think that's most people. I think a lot of people settle into this rut, in all sorts of ways in their lives. So they're just turned off generally. You've got to keep yourself turned on. You've got to keep yourself firing, and then, I mean, that's just not my experience of long. I mean, obviously there are dips, but you're going to get that eventually with everybody. I think maturing is a major part of it. I absolutely I love Russell more and more all the time. We've continued to grow. He continues to surprise me. He is the greatest source of strength and his loyalty. I could speak over and over, but I guess I'm biased because we're somehow managing to make it work over the long haul. But yeah, I want to stick up for long-term being.
Sure, it's a deeper connection. It's deeper attachment. People can understand you better. You have a real love instead of just a quick lust. But the whole drunk on new love thing is a thing, and it's finite for a reason, because otherwise we wouldn't get anything done. You wouldn't be able to parent. I mean, it's just not the sort of, if you're in a new relationship, it releases, it's the same brain chemistry as being addicted to a substance, and the same as OCD. And the newly in love brain looks like the OCD brain in an MRI, and we can't be like that forever. Otherwise, we would be really bad parents, really bad at our jobs, and really bad as citizens. There's a quote: "The children of lovers are orphans." It's like if you're like in this up and down,
that makes sense,
marital
obsession.
Drama, thing. That's bad too. Yeah, it's bad for the kids to see a sexless marriage and a loveless marriage. It's also bad for the kids to feel like mommy and daddy are locked in the room all the time, alternated fighting and fucking. That's bad too, So like, also both extremes are not great.
And Laura, to your point, what you're saying is it takes work, guys. And if you love each other, you put in the work, and it's awesome. That W word, work, the 4-letter word, is one that a lot of people are averse to, and they frankly think, men and women both, if there is, quote, work to effort to stay connected and stay sexy and stay lustful, then that's exhibit A for it wasn't meant to be. And we should just hang it up now. That's what a lot of people think.
It's immature. It's It's not. It's the same with your kids. It's the same with your home, your garden. I mean, so much is required of you to keep things in shape. It's the same, isn't it, with your physical health? It's that active concern, isn't it? The active concern. You've got to keep that going. That's how it works. We've got some more. Have you got more? Yeah, please.
Yeah, I was going to, Mr. User JC says, we have therapy tonight, and I'm going to bring it up again. Both of our love languages deserve respect. It can't be one way. Mr. JZ, here's what's going to solve your issue. I'm inferring a lot. I'm assuming a lot here just by what you're telling us. It's just good face value here, but this has been going on for a long ass time. One more, hey, wife, you should just listen to my point of view. Ain't going to get it done. What's going to get it done is we both know this ain't working. We're going to both jump on the train of working on this together or not. Let's just stop with the bullshit. Like, please, we've done enough. You know the language, wife. You're a therapist, for God's sakes. That's like the tone that gets things done, as opposed to, wifey, will you sit next to me for 10 seconds tonight? It's like, ugh, it doesn't get done. That's what I see over and over again. What else? Mr. Ken's leaving lots of good stuff. Hit a health scare, lost 85 pounds, reversed diabetes. Awesome. Clicked on fit over 40 stuff, and it got me here, and weird divorce content. So ever since he got better, now he's seen all this stuff on his algorithm about divorcing.
Well, Ken should definitely go to your group. He wants more of a male community, and I mean, he's a shoo-in. You would like having him. He likes the working out part. So definitely, Ken, you should, because he's asking me about more male groups. So you're a male group.
There you go. Mr. Ken. helpformen.com/join. That goes for all of you. If you're a dude, sorry, ladies, no, men only. We need our own little male space there, a little safe space, if you will. What else do you guys see here? I don't want to take over, Miss Laura. This is your
I can't read them. Some of them are very long. Hang on.
There's this assumption that it's always the man's fault. Wait, what? When they go to counseling and the counselor jumps on the left side. I don't know what that means. Did he mean to say on the woman's side? No, the counselor does not always go on the woman's side. That with a good couples therapist, you're not going to feel like there's sides. You're going to feel
Definitely
like the therapist is facilitating the couple to work on the couple. And not just sit there like King Solomon saying who's right and who's wrong. If that's how you feel, then you're not with the right therapist, or maybe y'all are just early in the couples therapy. It can start to feel like everybody's just trying to get out their piece. But shortly after that, it should go to what are the main problems facing the couple and how is the couple going to deal with that? It should not be this arbitration thing.
No, but I do think that is a lot of people's experience. Because I do hear from a lot of couples, they arrive and I've had people say things like, we got the distinct impression that she literally hated men. So it's like, I think, that these things are occurring, that there is,
there is a lot of therapists are bad, of course. Like they're not, I mean, just like anybody, like a lot of car mechanics or doctors or just like a lot of people, there's a whole normal distribution, and a lot of people also are very conflict averse, even if they're couples therapists. So, a lot of men come off angry and aggressive in the session, and it is it's really difficult to deal with that in the moment. And especially if you've not had a lot of experience, and if you do come off aggressive, then it is going to be hard for the therapist to kind of come forward and moderate that and not bring in their own stuff, or they start to feel guarded and they start to get a little scared of you themselves.
Well, that's my least favorite experience. I have to say, actually, really dysregulated couples are a nightmare. It's the hardest work, and it's exhausting physiologically. Even I've noticed when they're both incredibly dysregulated, and you've got the cycle of blame. So it's just no one listens. One says one bit, then the other person says something completely different. There's no real interacting on points at all. It's a disaster.
Yeah, couples therapists are not magic. They're not Houdini. They cannot take a couple that has literally been fighting for decades at each other's throats and magically make you turn into people who are going to respond to feedback and own their stuff. That does happen over time if it's the right fit. And honestly, a lot of those kind of couples just say we can't do it anymore and they just stop, before any work can be done. But when that's it's gratifying to work with people who can change over time, who go from being at each other's throats to being on the same side. And frequently the motivation is to not keep perpetuating the cycle for your children. I mean, that's like a huge motivator, is to not raise your kids in a house with screaming and craziness and crying and blaming and all that stuff.
Or cold. I mean, that's a dreadful.
Yeah, it's a common sentiment in our world is I had a therapist tell me this once. It's kind of creepy, isn't it, watching your past repeat itself. So when you take your hands off the wheel, so to speak, and just let Mother Nature or whatever take over, you find yourself, you marry mom or you marry dad, and you're seeing the same dynamics that you had back when you were a kid. And I say, yeah, but there's a great deal of power in that, which is, wow, now that I recognize it, I can make I can grab the wheel and make conscious, forceful changes in the right direction. So a lot of guys love that. They love being able to, something I can control, something I can fix, something I can. So that kind of wakes a lot of guys up. To Mr. Rick's point here on Facebook, men are pretty simple and have a few needs, but women want to make stuff more complicated. This is something in a roundabout way we hear all the time, that men are simple, man. Just, give us sex and food and away we go. I don't think that's necessarily the positive that a lot of guys think it is when you put that out there. We're just a bunch of simpletons. We're kind of simple-minded. Isn't that great about us? And a lot of women are like, I kind of want something more deeper than that, something more thoughtful than a guy who just wants sex and food and that's it. I was hoping there'd be more to it than that. So
companion. I was hoping for a companion,
a life partner. This is praise for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, that is not what women want, first of all, there is no universal what women want, because obviously there's preoccupied women, avoidant women, secure women. I mean, women are all different, men are all different. The male clients I have are introspective and deep thinkers. They don't just want sex and food. Then what the hell would we be talking about? I don't provide either one of those, so why would we be sitting there? I mean, men are not just animals. That's some men just want sex and food and to watch the game, but not all.
Thank goodness.
Very well put. Thank goodness. Mr. Two Soul Search says, I would like to become more romantic. However, I didn't have a good example growing up. Any tips on how to become more romantic? So how would you define romantic? You ladies, how would you define romantic?
Well, we could you could talk while I link him to 10 ways to be more romantic, a concrete guide for husbands.
There you go.
It's a good question, though. It's a good question. I mean, maybe it's going to be slightly different, yes, for all women, all people. But I'd suggest ask your wife what she what would make her feel loved, what would make her feel cherished.
Laura, if he has to ask, then it doesn't count.
Well,
is that true? Is it true?
If I have to tell you,
some young women say, some older people too. The more the people who are not as mature think that the partner should mind read, and therefore they say that anything that they have to tell their partner how to do isn't worth it. I see that with men sexually, with women romantically. It's obviously very self-sabotaging, because then your partner has to be a mind reader and they can't be a mind reader. So you're right, Laura. Asking the wife obviously would be useful. I mean, if you ask her every day, like it's Groundhog Day, like you don't have to, you can't remember
romantic?
What it says. Yeah, is this still romantic? Then obviously that's going to be annoying. But having an in-depth conversation, like what does romance look like to you, would be useful. Or just observing, what nice things have you done that she has responded well to? If you bring flowers and she barely smiles and they're still sitting there by the sink and you have to put them in a vase yourself, guess what? She doesn't like flowers. Use some observation.
Yeah, and I think it's a shared project, this romance thing, because I think it goes both ways. I think if you light some candles and you give your husband some attention in the wet room in the morning, he might consider that quite romantic, right? Whereas she's going to experience something different. But I think there's that stuff can be a shared, like a project. You can, and it's not static either, because what you find romantic when you're 20 might be different when you're 30, 40, 50,
it's
60.
definitely going to be romantic.
Yeah, totally.
And a lot of women do not want like their day to be like just a romantic reverie like a girl does who's 20 years old. Like periodically there's some thoughtful thing. Like it doesn't, you're not expecting it to be like a rom-com when you're like in your 40s raising children. Like, it's
totally.
very different. Things change over time.
Check-ins are good for stuff like that. We found that, that you kind of like, you basically want to be charting, hey, do you feel loved? Do you feel, are you feeling secure? Do you feel like you have my attention? Because I think that's something to do with it. That's basically to feel like you've got your spouse enough, not perfectly, but enough of your spouse's attention. Do you feel like a priority? And yes, the details of that they're going to change over the years. So check-ins are, in my experience, a really good way of monitoring that. For me and Ross, it's a continuous discussion and a beautiful shared project.
Yeah, the thing is like, I don't know, like if some people are looking for this romantic thing that just looks one way, like this classic one that I always talk about because I hear about it so much, where the guy wants to go up behind the woman while she's washing dishes and hug her and possibly grab her breasts. So you saw it on TV a lot. It was a staple of the 80s and 90s rom-com or TV show, right? I'm sure that the parents on the Growing Pains and Family Ties did it. And your wife doesn't like it. So stop doing it. It's not romantic to her. Jesus Christ. How many times I got to tell people, stop it with the going behind her. She got a startle response. A woman has childhood trauma. Leave her the F alone. Christ, it's just so annoying to hear the same things over and over again, from people when they are getting in their own way, preventing themselves from hearing their spouse and then therefore figuring out what does work because they're set on these certain things. Women do it and men do it, and it's just like maybe observe your spouse, have some curiosity into them versus trying to take this construct and like jamming it into your relationship and crowbarring it in without any regard to whether it fits.
I think a lot of it is just denial, because a lot of men I talk to are with women who don't have the woman doesn't have a romantic bone in her body. She's just a very cold individual. He's like, well, she should like when I come up behind her and give her a kiss on the back of the head. No, she doesn't, dude. Well, she should like when I sit down next to her on the couch watching Netflix and put my leg on her and snuggle with her, like maybe an ex-girlfriend did. No, dude, she doesn't like. Well, what the hell does she like? I'm sitting back and watching her. She doesn't like any of that shit. Yeah, she's not a very touchy person.
Yeah, and also like most men have never thought that they have just and women that their prior relationships all ended before they got married, right? So they were all honeymoon stages. Honeymoon stage to honeymoon stage to honeymoon stage, like pearls on a string. So you never saw a woman that wasn't in the honeymoon stage until you're married, and it's 3 years into your marriage, right? So then they're like, oh, my girlfriends were so sexual and wonderful, and this one is a cold fish. If you would have married the one with your legs on her, guess what? She also would be getting hot flashes, wouldn't want your leg on her at night. Guess what? Things would change and maybe she would still like the leg, but she wouldn't like the boob or whatever. Everybody changes, grows, and nobody stays 20 or 16 or whenever these memories are formed.
Yeah, so the calling is to remain emotionally married. That there is a continuous conversation, a sort of that you're obviously tuning into yourself. So you're making sense of yourself as you move through life, and you're checking in with your partner, and I mean that's why that's not possible, sorry, if you don't spend time together and you don't develop a kind of that you don't really know each other. You have to know yourself, and you have to spend time actually talking to one another. And, ideally you're doing that across the eras, and that's how you remain, like you understand these things. But I think, that's all hard. Again, it's all hard work, isn't it? It all takes time, it takes energy. It does.
Yeah, they don't make Hollywood movies about that kind of stuff.
No, they don't.
They certainly don't make porn about that kind of stuff either.
They don't.
The porn,
they think they do. They think the amateur porn is like the average marriage. I'm like, that is not a real thing. No, that is a woman who's going to get taped having sex on the internet is not in an average marriage.
Did you get that romance?
Did you? What does Ben Solomon says? The Fanos check-in, FANOS. What's that?
I don't have that. I don't know what that is.
I don't either.
I can't even see that one.
Well, Ben Solomon on Facebook, tell us what the Fanos check-in is, and then we'll tell you if it's worth.
Who is Dr. Ben, and he is a member of the Brotherhood. Hello, Dr. Ben.
Oh, good. So
that's nice.
All right.
Did you get Steve Price? Romance. Foof. Yeah. Foof, is that her? Foof. You say it better, Ralph. I say it too British. Yeah, when I say it, it's embarrassing. Mind reading. However, just ask anyway. And it's not just flowers and chocolate. Getting lost in the woods brings you closer through shared experience, or maybe eaten by bears.
Wow, look at you.
Well, I do think that he's onto something there. I mean, shared experiences they're bonding, aren't they?
And then
so he's gonna
no, not bears. Bears aren't bonding. I don't think being eaten by a bear is bonding.
But Jen on YouTube says Fanos sounds like some Marvel character. That's what I was thinking too. So
we should just Google it, whatever it is. But he'll tell us. Ben Solomon, tell us what the Fanos.
Ben, educate us on Fanos.
Yeah, Fanos. All right, let's go back and see what we missed.
Do you guys need to cut this at a certain time?
Later, then I don't know. We could keep going for now.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Anxious versus avoidant seems very. What did you say? When do you have to go?
I'm good. I could go. Yeah, I'm all right until probably 6:30. I don't know what time that is with you, but I'm happy to end when
we'll
you.
I'm good for about.
I'm cruising into a weekend now. That's what's happening to me. I'm about to land into. We're going to watch a movie this evening. That's what I'm going to do.
No, I'm going to give you a recommendation. You're going to watch 45 Years. Listen to me. Actually do it. Russell, you're listening.
Oh, yeah, he's listening. He's there.
I'm serious, Laura. If you watch that, then we could even talk about it because it's such a good psychological movie. They've been married for 45 years. You would love it. They've been married for 45 years. You could listen to this too, Ralph. And I'm directing it there. And then in the first scene, this doesn't spoil anything, but our fans will like to hear about this and watch this movie. We find out that his ex-girlfriend from 46 years ago has been found, her body. She died when they were hiking in the mountains on the glaciers many, many, many moons ago. And she was his next of kin. And the wife of 45 years did not really understand much about how serious this relationship had been. And this is in the lead up to their 45-year anniversary party that's coming at the end of the week. So in this whole week, it's like very psychological about she thought it was a certain way, their relationship. But then with this event, she starts to learn more, rethink. It's very, very interesting psychological character study of especially this woman and her long-term marriage. So that's a good
cool. Thank you,
Russell will probably like it. You're welcome. Guys, it's 45 years. It was award-winning. So, Ralph, you can watch it with your wife, too. I'll let you.
I always get tickled at how excited you get about movies and TV shows.
I like a good movie. I hate a bad movie. There are so many of those now as well.
I'll just stop watching a bad movie. If it doesn't get me in 5 minutes, I'm like, my life is not long enough for this. Give me a break.
Indeed.
Ben defined Fanos for us. Feelings. A stands for appreciation. So feelings, appreciation, needs, ownership, and struggles. Okay. Just a good way of framing things. Talk about each of those points. Oh, each partner goes through how they feel about something during the day, what they appreciated. Okay. So just a structured way of let's go over the day. What are you feeling? Thinking.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, it's a little corny for me, even though I am in a corny profession. But I mean, anything that works for anybody, quite honestly. Y'all are an acronym guy, do it. You know, I mean, I am just very cynical about acronyms, but but I mean, seriously, like it just wouldn't work for me. But if it works for you, do it. People like all different things, for real.
They do. You've got to find your own groove, haven't
Whatever
you?
works
I
for
mean,
you.
that yeah, definitely. So I've got one here. I'm investing a lot of energy in a sexless marriage, 12 years. How long do I keep this up before I lose energy to keep going? Since the change, it's not happening after months. The distance.
What changed? It's been 12 years of sexlessness?
Menopause, I'm assuming.
But then he says it keeps happening after months. What does that mean? It's not happening.
Maybe the whole marriage is 12 years.
That's how I
just been
understood
sexless for months. And when did she go through menopause? What's going on? I know nothing. So give me all the details and I can talk intelligently.
Flesh this out some more, Mr. Klimkepetke.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Oh, and they asked just Laura about fearful avoidant up there. The guy says, hold on. Anxious, Brian Heflin. Anxious versus avoidant seems very straightforward, but what about the third insecure category? I think it is called fearful. How do they behave? How do they feel inside? Yeah, so they're fearful avoidant. You want to explain, Laura, or you want me to explain?
You explain. I've just done. You seem more of a machine than me. To be clear, I just did 3 days of very long clinical days, and the glucose in my brain. I was explaining to Ralph at the beginning is slipped out of my ear, so I'm not. I feel petrified of trying to explain that right now. So over to you, Samantha.
So it's so when you grow up with trauma. All right, so. There's the strange situation, which is when you have a 1-year-old baby in the lab and then we see how the baby is attached by the way that the baby behaves. So everybody could find this interesting. It'll only take a minute to explain. So we have the parent and the research assistant. And then the research assistant says, your parent has to leave to the baby. And the parent says, I have to go. And then we see what the baby does. And then after a couple of minutes, the parent comes back and we see what the baby does. If it's an anxious baby, anxiously attached, that's going to grow into one of y'all that's watching, then the baby is like hyper vigilant. Where's mommy? Where's mommy? Mommy comes back. Baby is mad, actually, because mommy keeps going away emotionally or physically. Maybe she's depressed. Maybe she has addiction issues. Maybe she's just stressed out. And the baby has learned that the mother is warm, but leaves emotionally or physically unpredictably. And then the baby becomes hyper vigilant and becomes a jealous and clingy and needy and preoccupied attachment adult. An avoidant baby acts like they don't care when mommy leaves. They just play with the research assistant. Mommy comes back. They also act like they don't care because they've learned that mommy is kind of distant in the home and prefers that they be independent. They're going to turn into somebody avoidant like y'all spouses. Then there's fearful avoidant, which is when the baby is neglected or abused. So that is a situation where the baby acts very flustered and very kind of confused and like alternately looks away and looks, toward the parent, but is kind of scared of the parent. This comes from childhood trauma. And when these people get older, they may suffer more with borderline personality. They have CPTSD, complex PTSD. They learn that relationships are completely unpredictable. Your caregiver is associated with trauma, with pain. They're unreliable. They don't really care about you. And then these people end up having very volatile, unpredictable, and difficult relationships. A lot of breaking up, making up, a lot of fighting, a lot of cheating, a lot of substance use, drama, because that's what they learned in the home.
Sad.
That's attachment in like 1 minute.
It was very good, Samantha. I'm impressed. Attachment 101.
Yeah, and I got it really. I'll link you right now, Brian, to my attachment overview and to a podcast about fearful avoidant attachment itself. So I'll just do that. And if that resonated with you, you should be in therapy and working through some of this. And the name of the podcast is Fearful Avoidant Attachment, the one you get when your childhood was traumatic. That's the subtitle. So there it is.
And it can be healed. That's the good news, that these attachment disorders can be treated successfully. It just takes, again, work, commitment and time, doesn't it? Care.
Yeah. And then you can really break the cycle for your children, because otherwise you're just going to be perpetuating it because that's all you know.
That's right. I'm clear about my needs.
Sorry,
this is from
I'm muted.
Klim. I can't say this chap or lady's name. I think it's
Clem.
I'm clear about my needs. Oh, he's explaining. He's going into more detail.
Yeah.
I'm clear about my needs and missing those. And there keeps being a wall on the spouse side. Not rejection, but no movement towards me either. I should not pressure. Give it time, but each day is loneliness. I find it harder and harder to keep up the positive attitude. So how to keep bringing up my needs without building up pressure, and keep finding the energy to keep doing this?
It still begs the question of how many years are we talking? You say 12 years. Is that of the relationship? Is just the sexlessness just post-menopause after a few months? Like, what are we talking about here? That makes a difference. I mean,
this dude needs to be, Climpy, you need to be in individual therapy, because we don't know what she's going to do. You said you were in couples therapy, but you need to be working on yourself. Why are you staying in this? What are your expectations versus reality? Like, you need to be opening up to somebody about, like, truly the details of this beyond a 3-way YouTube live, and really working on your self, and talk to somebody who's more objective and who could give you a sense of what's going on here and what you can expect versus if you should just throw in the towel, you know?
And there's a lot of men that I talk to that are honest with themselves about just how serious the sex life is to them, and it's out of a lot of shame. They don't want to say like it's really super duper important, because they have a lot of people telling them that he's a monster for making it that important. There's much bigger things in the world than what you do, you know, with your penis and all this other stuff. So dude, like, cut it out. So he's like, okay. And what those men do is convince themselves like, it's not that important, you know, it's been this long without it, I can keep going. And what do those men do? They cheat, they go to sex workers, they develop a porn habit. So obviously it is important part of you. So be honest with yourself, Mr. Clem. If it's been years, like, how important is this? Are you willing to go years more without it? Or
he told us 20-year relationship, 12 years sexless. You're not having sex again.
Dude, yeah.
You're not having sex.
The writing's on the wall, my friend, and it has been for quite a while. This like giant glaring.
You've now been sexless longer than you've not been sexless.
So so you're asking all the wrong questions. The question, and you guys may disagree with me, the question to ask is, what is it about me that keeps me in such a relationship? Why is my self-esteem, self-worth so low that I'm willing to put up with a relationship or 12 years of not touching each other? That's the question to ask. So quit with the, how do I get her? You're asking the wrong questions here. It's
a lot of chaps that I hear from that a big part of it is they don't want to admit defeat. I mean, there's something crushing about giving up or something like that, and where there's kids involved, I mean, it's not, I do, you know, it's so hard to walk away from a marriage, but there has to, does there not, come a point when it's decades where if it, you know, if she's been given reasonable time and, you know, you've talked it through, I mean, I just can't. There has to come a time where you draw a line. I just can't imagine doing that to myself for decades.
One way I frame this to men that usually gets their head going a little bit is to say, there's a dude next to you, imagine, who's very secure in himself. And that guy, when this happens 6 months, a year into the relationship of sexlessness or whatever, he sits his spouse down and says, obviously there's something going on here. Are you willing to work on this with me? If not, if you're like, dude, I'm never going to touch you again, then I love you, but we're going to have to part ways here. You know, we'll still work with each other to raise the kids and everything else, but obviously there's a real disconnect here and it's just not going to work out. I love you. Let's, you know, I wish you all the best. And they mean it. And they do wish her all the best. And they're like, I guess we're going our separate ways here. What is it about him that makes him so different from you? And when you just like, my needs don't matter. I'm a bad boy. That's what a lot of this means. I have a lot of shame about me and my feelings. I need to minimize, and just end up feeling worse and worse about yourself. What's the difference between the two? What does that guy have that you don't have? Because that guy does exist. It's called being a secure dude.
Yeah.
Why are you such an insecure guy? And that's where you really get to the bottom of all this. The rest of it's just bullshit.
And it isn't just about sex, obviously. If they were in a relationship where there was other closeness and affection, I've never yet seen it be just about sex. It's always is about closeness, approval, acceptance, a million warmth, a million different things. There's not many people who are going to give up on a relationship because of intercourse. It just doesn't really happen. And but there's a lot of people who will give up over like just a complete lack of affection. And that's what there is in a sexless marriage. Sexless is just a proxy, for just a cold marriage.
Yeah. Because if there was something like physical going on, maybe sex was very painful for her, for whatever reason, she would be understanding and go, I know it's important to you, so let's work our way around this and stay connected and do things. Yeah. But just to go, get away from me, she was like, yeah, there's something else going on here. Canary.
Yeah, And for what I see is just really poor health, whether it's physical health, emotional, mental health, psychological, there's medications. I mean, a lot of these guys that I meet, their partners are in a dreadful state health-wise, just across the board, not exercising, hasn't dealt with childhood. I mean, I do, I think often what a miserable experience, because there is an ideal, and it is that your partner is well and you are too, and regardless of the challenges that life throws our way, you're having a more or less good time as an individual, and therefore as a couple as well. So for me,
you can't be a miserable, depressed person and be like in a wonderful relationship. Like you're not going to be able to show up that way. And that's hard for people who struggle with depression. However, you can be everything's along the spectrum. And if somebody is depressed, they can be happily married. The relationship itself is just going to get so much better if they work on the depression, of course. And, sometimes you can't fix the depression, but at least it has to be understood that there is an interplay between the self and the marriage, and also between the marriage and the self, and those are bi-directionally influence each other.
And Clem here did what every guy does. I'm very fit. I work out 5 days a week. I'm good looking, but I'm alone in this. So they do the very superficial thing, like, look at me, I got abs and everything. She still doesn't want me, so it's all on her. It's like, no, dude, you got to work on up here. That's the important thing. There are plenty of obese men out there that get laid like crazy. There's something about the superficial and the good looks, and you're going to turn heads and so forth, sure. But to your sexless marriage of 12 years and everything else, it's just you're just grasping at straws here.
Yes.
I guess it depends on what you're prepared to put up with. I mean, it's, I personally wouldn't like to be with someone who is long-term depressed. I wouldn't want to be with someone who is long-term overeating and gaining weight. I wouldn't want to be with somebody who wasn't passionate generally. I just personally wouldn't want that. But that's probably because I've been working on myself. So it's sort of like, you kind of want to, have a partner who matches your own health.
Right, but I never seen the advent of abs turn around a sexless marriage. I mean,
you haven't seen Russell's abs, though.
Well, I'm begging to see Russell all the time.
That's what it was for me, chaps.
Let me say this. I have seen this, but here was the example I often give, and this was a true story. There was a guy who very much a part of who he was and his identity was that of a competitive athlete in college. And when he met his wife, that was who he was. He was this lean, mean athlete dude, very go-getter. And then as soon as he got married, he's like, don't have to do that shit anymore. And it became an overweight, put your feet up on the recliner kind of dude. And he lost a lot of weight.
So that's how she thinks of him.
And then he stripped all the fat off and got back shape and become super confident, started dressing well again. And she said the magic words of, I got my husband back. So to him, he's like, it was that. And to him, there was a period, if I remember, this was years ago, there was a period of him saying, I almost feel some resentment towards my wife that she's that shallow, that kind of stuff matters to her. And it's like, that's important. The physical stuff's important. The confidence thing's important. It's not just, we're married now and you put your feet up. That's what a lot of guys complain about. That's what
he's probably going to leave her, go be with some woman again, because now he had an empathic rupture that she didn't love him when he was at his worst. I mean, not to be naysayer, but that could happen. It could also be a wonderful happy ending. But, I have seen that happen, that, by the way, with women, when they lose a lot of weight or they get boobs, or this is happening with Ozempic. I see a lot of people, they get on Ozempic, the partner is like sniffing around them and they're like, hey, fuck you, because where were you when I was a little chubby?
Mm-hmm.
But, But that does not in any way mean that we don't want to see Russell's abs, just to get to the point.
They are fabulous. Everywhere we go, he'll love this. He'll be dying in the office now, but everywhere we go, people say, you're like a superhero. Yeah, and my Charlie loves it as well, because it's like his, it's his dad. All his friends are like, your dad's massive. He is massive. It's brilliant. Yeah, so I think a good pair.
Russell, I want to see Russell. Ralph, don't you want to see Russell?
But Russell doesn't want to be seen. He just doesn't. We've had $10. Did you see? Look, we had $10 from Slad. Oh,
that $10 was for Russell to take his shirt off.
That's not what it says. It says
dollars at the stage.
It says thanks. He or she says it's tough to have any hope when your partner lacks the self-reflection capability to identify what the real addressable problems are.
There you go. It takes two.
Yeah. It does take two, and it's so, I have to say, it's a lot of fun when you're both growing up all the time and trying to develop yourselves. It does keep it interesting, it's nice. It's nice to watch your partner overcome parts of themselves that previously got the better of them. That's cool. It's cool. I don't know why more people don't like it personally.
Mm-hmm.
Many people hate self-reflection, so then they hate when their partner engages in any, because they think it's going to turn to them pretty soon. So like for a lot of people, seeing their partner engage in any self-betterment program, whether that's therapy, whether that's exercise, whether it's coaching, whatever, they get very anxious, like, wait, what do you want me to do? And there's an implicit agreement that they accept each other how they are. When one person starts to change, then the other person gets very intimidated and they're not excited. They're scared because the whole contract is being broken, the contract that they both stay the same,
There is also the aspect of your super anxious person who a lot of self-help and reads a lot of stuff and overshares. They become annoying as hell. Like they start sharing all these terminology. And I just heard this podcast the other day, and they won't shut up.
They're like, oh, do you want to see? Like they tell me, oh, she won't listen to your podcast. I was like, stop sharing my podcast. That's what you do. That's the response. Oh, okay, and don't share them anymore because she doesn't want to hear it. Really. You basically can't, I want to have a partner for whom I don't have to hide my true self. Yes, we all do. And you basically can't act yourself when you want sex and constantly get rejected. You can't make a move after years of rejection. Yes, if there's been years of rejection, you should not anymore be trying to make a move. You want to get into therapy. You want to figure out if there's a future to the relationship. And if there's not, you want to move forward, because the sexlessness is a proxy for just a lack of connection writ large.
Well put. Guys, I need to run here soon. Got a couple more.
All right. All right, you want to do one more? You have one more to answer? Let's see. I
can't see anymore. I think we've covered a lot of it.
Laura, if you're in the UK, Steve here says get your vitamin D checked because you're not getting enough sun. He's taking vitamin D and he feels a lot better. So there you go.
I take that. We take huge amounts of it throughout the winter. Apparently something to do with your shadow length. I don't know how you measure these things. If it's longer than your body, shorter than your body, I don't know. Just take it. It helps. Go outside. That's the other thing. Going outside. I think we've talked about this before, Samantha. I think you and I perhaps disagree, but being outside a lot, that's good for your marriage. That's go and spend some time in nature and solitude. I mean, I don't think solitude as a practice.
Oh, yeah, you talk about solitude.
Yeah, this solitude and silence, where you can make sense of yourself. I think people who have themselves in order psychologically and emotionally, they're generally speaking way more attractive than people. Well, if you want healthy people, if you're attracted to healthy people, I should say. If you're not,
also watching TV on the couch with your partner is good too. Here's a vote for that one. I like that
comment, or is that you speaking?
I like that also. That is fun for those of us who have less energy and more Sweet 16 planning. Kill me. But But anyway.
Okay, are we done? Are we? There are more, but Ralph, you got to go. So this was great. This was fun. Yeah, I didn't know if anyone would be able to get a word in edgeways, but we've all been quite courteous, I feel.
It's because of you. It's the British influence. Ralph and I are on our best behavior here. We don't want to be impolite Americans.
Is that a thing? I don't think the Brits think of you that way.
Don't y'all hate us?
Don't you though?
A little bit.
No, we love you. We love. Yes, you are loved. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I can't speak for other Brits, but my sense of the Brits is that we've got great things going on, Britain and America. We're allies.
An overall positive person, Laura, and so
I am. I see that. I got these rose-tinted glasses that I just rock all the time. They're not. Yeah, I don't need those blue blockers. I've got these pink blockers, so all I can see is love and light. That's how I roll. I wasn't always like that. That took some work, I can tell you. That's 30 years of work.
You are a very positive person. I give you full kudos. You have an A, but you would get an A+ if I saw your husband without a shirt, because man,
all right.
Coming. I just got to get him. I've just got to convince him somehow.
I'm just gonna keep on teasing Russell forever until he has to get on the scrreen just to
He knows that. He's worked that out about you, Samantha. He knows that's how this is gonna play out.
Now that he's talking to my husband, Ralph, this is like the blind leading the blind. You got her husband talking to my husband, because Laura and I can't even make this StreamYard shit work to save our lives. So my husband directly in communication with her husband. Isn't that funny? That's okay, awesome. You're a wife on the thread, then we'll all be in there.
That's what we need to do. It's been really fun. Thank you, both of you. Let's do this again at some point in the future. I'd really like that. And thank you, everybody who joined us. Thank you for all of your questions. We'll be doing this again, hopefully, all three of us.
Bye,
I'd really like that. Bye, everyone.
Thanks,
bye.